Welcome to, what's the name of the show? Democracy 2.0 with Malcolm Berman and Wayne Bouchard. Bouchard.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to, tell us what we're going to talk about. Well, you're listening to it on malcolmpresents.com. And this is a new show that I'm very excited about because we're talking about what's happening today. Wayne, could you fill us in and tell us what you want to cover in the next 26 weeks or so?
Sure. The topic of the show is Democracy 2.0. It comes from over the last, I would say over the last 10 years, I have been asking people, what comes after democracy? What comes after capitalism? They are, they're not infinite. Forms of government and economic systems do not last forever. So, that's where this whole concept originally began. And, I think it's time that we reset our democratic values. The Ukrainian war has brought into focus a whole new concept of what we think democracy should be. It's a lot of people have had restored faith in the entire concept of democracy. The Ukrainians have reminded us of what it's like to believe in democracy.
Well, is that necessarily democracy or patriotism, or is it one of the same?
I think it's similar. They've had the courage to defend their homeland, to stand up for freedom, and to stand up for their place in society, for their own honor. They've had, I think, as a result of the Ukrainian war, we've had a renewed interest in patriotism around the world.
Well,
personally, I've even experienced it. I said to someone, right at the very beginning, if I was 20, I'd be ready to go help them.
Would you really be?
Seriously, I would.
When you were 20, what was happening in the world?
We were turning the world upside down over Vietnam and elections and a lot of what we see today.
Mm-hmm. Well, by the way, were you in the service during the Vietnam War?
No.
Oh, because no, I know I wasn't.
I was not eligible.
Okay. Well, actually, neither was I. I had I forget what it was. I was a sole support of my widowed mother.
Oh, okay. I had ulcers.
Oh, okay. But actually, that was, if I remember back, that was really an exercise in democracy, because that's where the kids, especially after 1968, what happened in the Democratic Convention, that's where the kids demonstrated that this is what they wanted, which I hope in a way is going to happen with Russia, with the people of Russia, the citizens who are against what's happening now.
Right. We
protest without getting killed.
They have an opportunity to set the record straight.
Yeah.
But I think that for me personally, I think that our country has been somewhat lax in its understanding of democracy and what it means. The January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, forced us to rethink, our entire form of government. What are we looking for? Was the election stolen? Three-quarters of the Republican Party believes that the election was stolen.
Yeah.
We've had a whole flurry of new laws that are going to restrict our voting rights, restrict mail-in voting, and it's a total erosion of the freedoms that we've had in voting.
Yeah, what it seems is going to give the states more right. As a matter of fact, I think certain states can nullify whatever happened in the national election. And if they have people there saying, no, it didn't go that way.
Yeah, it's totally unconstitutional.
Yeah, most definitely. But the thing which a lot of people confuse, and when they talk even on television, is the difference between democracy and capitalism. Because you could have a democracy with socialism.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Our thing is in this country, we have a combination of a combination plate, because we have a lot of things that are considered socialistic, which Social Security is a socialistic program. Also, a lot of unemployment is socialistic.
Mm-hmm.
But we're a capitalist society. This is what we believe in private industry. But somehow people confuse it.
Democracy and capitalism are not interchangeable.
Right. And most people don't think about that.
Right. That's because of the way we've been taught to believe.
Yeah. And I get so upset when they talk about socialism, and most people don't know what that. We're not going to become a socialistic country. They don't know what socialism is.
No, they have no clue.
Right. And maybe we could help set them straight in certain programs.
Yeah, I think we should do a whole show on it.
Yeah.
Our whole political system has become polarized.
It's become, the word which I would use is polarized, right? But what I say is stagnant. They can't move.
Well, we have a personality such as Donald Trump, who's leading the way. He's really an autocratic ruler, and that's what he professes to want to get to. His heroes are people like Putin.
Oh, yeah, he made friends with all the dictators.
Yeah, Trump. Maybe he was an accident of history, but today it's spread to maybe 100 other candidates who are running, little mini Trump campaigns, and they're using Trump's playbook.
Well, I was just reading actually in yesterday's LA Times in certain states where certain politicians are running on Trump coattails, but it's not working as well. It seems like he's still big, but it's not carrying over to candidates that he endorses. I hope that's true.
I hope that's true. But the fact of the matter is today that Trump owns the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And if you don't fall in line, there are retributions. Uh-oh. I kicked the cable underneath my desk. Look at Liz Cheney. Did any of us ever think 10 years ago that we would be defending a Cheney?
Okay.
That was just unheard of. But
right.
Today we're all rooting for Liz Cheney's reelection.
Yeah. And she voted, I think they said 90% she voted for Trump programs.
Yes, absolutely. But she made one miscue, and that's, but that's his personality. You're either with him or against him. We have, this whole issue of voting rights in all these states. The Democrats failed to, get this Voting Rights Act passed. Excuse me.
It's everybody's saying, oh, the Democrats own the House and they own the Senate. They don't own the Senate. They're by the slimmest margin, and they haven't gotten them one senator, Joe Manchin, to go along with them.
I refer to him as Munchkin.
But I don't see why he should not recuse himself from some of these legislations, because he owns a fossil fuel company. I think he gets like, I think $500,000 a year from them. His wife is a president of one. His son is another, very much involved. The state, basically the money that he gets is all from the coal companies. I mean,
right.
he's not voting, as an American senator. He's voting as a businessman.
Correct. But remember the Supreme Court ruling that said that, and I can't remember what it's referred to as now.
I know what you're talking about. The
corporations are people,
money. Right? And they can invest.
Are people, and
they can invest as much as they want.
Yes, and that's what in my personal humble opinion, that's what's destroying the political system.
Well, I like your humble opinion, because I totally agree with you. I mean, for the life of me, a major part of campaigns is television, paying for television ads. I worked in television. Who owns the air? The U.S. government owns the air. The American people own the air. The television networks are just renting it out. They have to renew it. I forget what it was. Once every 5 years or so, they have to renew their license. Why doesn't the government make them give free time to major candidates? Why can't, if you have 3 or 4 major candidates, why can't they all have equal advertising time on the stations for free? We own it.
Look at the some of our friends, like the UK and their whole election system. The process takes 90 days, I think, and they don't spend any of their own money. So,
no, we are ridiculous, because we've been running the presidential campaign already. It's starting, and well, the thing, not so much a presidential campaign, which I don't like. Number one is the House of Representatives. They are elected every 2 years. Now, when they are elected, the day after they're elected, what do most reps do? Fundraise.
They start fundraising the second day.
Immediately. I don't know if they wait for the second day. And basically what they do, special interest groups are coming in and say, well, how much do you need for this? Oh, you need $1 million. We'll give you $1 million, but don't tell them that we gave you $1 million.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And when you see this money, this money has been raised by the independent people for the constitutional rights. We don't know who is behind that money.
Right. Our whole political structure is changing, and we owe it all to I go back. We owe it all to Donald Trump. Trump was the lightning rod for people's fears. He preyed on people's fears. So the African Americans, LGBTQs, Latinos, Muslims, immigration, is all these subjects. Trump was defending, the old white male Christian rural American set of values.
Yeah. Well, I think he brought it out in the open. I think this was. I think this
it started before then, but
his attitude, I think, was what people had thought. Going back to the Obama election, there were so many people who were sort of disappointed that Obama won. Why? Not his policies, because he was Black.
Exactly.
And
but nobody wanted to say that.
I think this was hidden. I think a lot of the agenda that people had was not that he was a Democrat, but said he was a Black president, and they never accepted it.
a lot of it comes back. Down to that whole question of racism. Can we have a multi-ethnic democracy in this country? It's a very scary thing to a lot of people.
We're doing it. I think it's really the only country. I'm not sure it's the only country, with the largest one with the ethnic diversity. Everybody looks at countries like Finland or Sweden, or look how well they do. Yes, because everybody's related, certain way. I think it was in Finland, and one of them they had to change their last names because everybody had the same last name almost.
Right.
If you look in the book, the telephone book, what they used to, everybody had the same last names.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Over here, it's totally different, which I enjoy.
Well, you go to someplace like, Queens, New York, there are over 165 countries represented in Queens. 106, over 100, I think it was 162 different nationalities.
Well,
That's amazing.
I'm from New York, so I know it well, except I lived in an old Jewish neighborhood. I mean, 90% of the student body in the schools I went to were Jewish. Because the other ones, the Catholics went to parochial school. I don't know what your religion is, but Catholics in my neighborhood went to parochial schools. The Jews went to public schools. I'm not sure where the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants went. They went to private schools.
Yeah, I guess so. I happen to have been born and raised a Catholic and went to Catholic schools.
Where getting a brief background. What is your background? Now, since it's our first show, because I know you had been involved in politics.
Well, I was born and raised in Connecticut, and learned politics in Connecticut. Became very much enthralled with the Kennedy presidency, and then Bobby Kennedy later on, and there goes my foot again, hitting that wire. And then I ran for office myself. I served on some local boards and ran for Congress. I'm not even sure what year it was, probably 76 or 78. Interestingly enough, and this is...
He's starting to lose the signal. You're freezing now. I don't know if you could hear me. But now you're frozen. I don't know if anybody out there can hear me, but...
debating the same issue.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you heard me, but some of the things, you've been freezing a little bit, but now you're back.
Oh.
So next time, check the signal. Not this show. Now we've done most of them. We've done like 20 minutes of the show already. But anyway, again, this is unedited, so we'll just include everything, and hopefully it will go. But anyway, I
see that my internet is unstable because my repeater is not. Oh, there it is. It's back on.
Well, you have a studio at home, right? Because
I'm working from my office, not from.
I know. I'm wondering if you had the opportunity to do the show from the studio, whether that would, whether you have more of a Wi-Fi connection there.
It's the same Wi-Fi.
No. Because I know I've done shows with Meg, your wife, when we had Green Divas. In fact, that's how I met you guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the world, there has to be a change. Like everybody said, it's a grand experiment. Yeah, but it has to change. But what I don't know if you've been listening to the Senate investigating, the Chief Justice, the Justice that. Yes. Jackson Brown. I don't understand why people talk about originalism. What did our forefathers meant in what they said? It's a whole damn other world. There's so many things that we're doing it. They're trying to interpret. What did our founding fathers mean? I don't know. What did our founding fathers say about the internet? What did it say about false news? What did it say about TV ads and money? There's nothing in it about that. Why? It didn't exist 200 years ago.
Correct.
So why are we talking about what they meant? Shouldn't we have these laws as it pertains to today? I know some of the senators we see might have lived during that time. You see the Senate, in the Senate or even Congress.
Yeah.
You see them get out. You see a sea of nothing against people with white hair, because I have it, you have it, but these people have been there. This is their only job. They've been there, since the 80s. They've been there 40 years, and they're 70, 80 years old. It's no matter how bright, that we are, it's a whole different world. I have two sons, 27 and 25. They present a whole different, other aspects of what's happening that I am totally unaware of. Mm-hmm. Even though I see the newspapers, I read this, but as we get older, we fixate on things that we're familiar with. And some of the new things we don't really get involved with. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same thing with our senators. We need, number one, term limits on both the Senate and the House. We need term limits on the Supreme Court. I mean, they have a lifetime appointment. They're appointed when they're 50, and they can live to be the 80s. I mean, this doesn't make sense to me. I don't know about you.
It's always been an issue. Congress people are elected for only 2 years. Senators are for 6 years.
Yeah.
We've had this battle with the Supreme Court for Roosevelt wanted to expand the Supreme Court because he couldn't get the court to define what he wanted to do in terms of being constitutional or not.
Yeah.
So this is not something new.
No.
And that's part of the problem. One of the things that happened with this voting rights bill and in this John Lewis amendment was that the Democrats turned this into a partisan issue. The Democrats aren't all, squeaky white over this whole thing because, they control Congress and the White House and they still can't get anything done. I'm reminded of, Will Rogers said he was not a member of any organized political party. I'm a Democrat.
Yeah, right. Well, but the thing that I object to with our two-party system is no matter what people say, well, we're independent, and they might not even have run as a Democrat or Republican, but where they stand. It's once they are in the fold, all of a sudden Republicans become Republicans and Democrats become Democrats. I cannot see why one Republican hasn't voted as far as any of Biden's legislation. Not one.
Well, to get back to this voting rights bill, the John Lewis amendment, part of it was they wanted to spend public money to do certain things and to expand, like.
Okay, yeah, we're getting the freezing problem again. I don't know if you can hear me. Anyway, we're freezing now. I'll try. I don't know if
nonpartisan issue, and turned it around to becoming a partisan issue.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is becoming partisan. It's sort of the again, I don't know if you've been listening to the the congressional the senatorial hearings. I mean, the Republicans are attacking her, and the Dems are lauding her.
But why are look at the Republicans that are attacking Judge Jackson? All three of them are considered contenders in the Republican primary. So they're just throwing meat out to their political base. These are the kind of things that disrupt the political system, because they're not there doing their constitutional duty. They're running for another office.
Right. That's because they're looking for the money for this. The unlimited amount of funds from major corporations. We're having Trump's backing, because I heard Lindsey Graham attack her, and Ted Cruz, and
the guy from Missouri, Joe Hawley.
Yeah, and I don't know the woman. I forget where she's from. There's a woman the woman senator, the blonde, that was sort of just ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't see her.
No,
but that's the politics of the issue.
Right.
Now, the fact is that her rulings on any of these cases were not outside of the norm.
No, in fact, they
made an issue out of it. So, by the end of this week, they will have, they'll get the QAnon people on board, and they will have, a significant percentage of the people convinced that, she's part of the pizza child pornography conspiracy that Hillary Clinton's running down in that pizza place in Washington.
Yeah, I had heard that, and I was sort of like looking, and I was saying, these are people running our government?
Yeah. Well, they're throwing this stuff out there, and, who are the democracy requires a certain responsibility, and the people that gobble this stuff up obviously are not are not performing their duty as Americans to be conscientious voters, because they buy into all this crap.
Well, the problem sometimes, I hate to say this, sometimes I'm an elitist. I don't think everybody should vote, because I don't have to overcome that, because most people don't know the issues or why the hell they're voting.
I respectfully disagree. I think everyone has the right to vote and should vote, and most people don't.
Even if they don't know what they're voting on, because they heard a 30-second soundbite on their favorite Fox show.
Yeah, and how about the guy or gal who heard a 30-second soundbite on CNN?
Right, who doesn't, they don't know.
It's the same thing, only the opposite.
I know, they don't, I'm not saying necessarily Fox or CNN, but they don't know enough to vote. As I say, sometimes I'm an elitist. I can argue both ways, but sometimes I'm an elitist. People, and I don't see why you should make registration easier to vote. They want to make registrations. You go to the supermarket and you can register to vote.
Absolutely. If you want to vote, you should be able to vote.
I think it's a privilege that should be that you should respect. And I don't know whether. Again, I don't know the answer. I'm just saying that I think the system has to be completely overhauled.
And where do you start?
I don't know. I'm not running for office. You start what you start is with education. I think the most important aspects which we don't have is the educational system. That's where we start, actually.
Well, let's go to the what I consider to be the root cause of the problem. We have social media, the whole internet disinformation campaign.
Yeah.
we've got all these 24-hour news channels, whether it's Fox News, CNN, One America, or MSNBC. They all have to sell advertising. So they sensationalize the hell out of everything. So news is no longer news.
No,
news is a TV production. It's a reality show. When
news is an op-ed piece. It's opinion.
I think Walter Cronkite used to tell you the news. This is what happened. Right. And then there was a tiny little blurb at the end of the broadcast, the news broadcast, of someone telling you what the opinions were. But it was only a small segment. Everything else was reporting the news as it happened, not as they interpreted it.
Right. Yeah. Well, Wayne, I had to tell you this, but you realize a half hour is up?
And we didn't even get to the Ukrainian war.
No, we have at least another 26 weeks. That's what we've committed to, and possibly to do a second season.
The second season, episode 10.
Right. What we'll do in the year 2020, maybe we'll figure something out. So that's 2030.
That's gone.
2022 is it's amazing that it's so long. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to cover.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of things are happening in the world that I'd like to discuss with you and find out your ideas because, and exchange ideas. But I think it was a very worthwhile show. Hopefully you feel the same. And we'll be on once a week. So anyone out there, it's malcolmpresents.com. The show is Democracy 2.0, and my co-host is Wayne Bouchard, who is a man experienced in politics. I'm private industry, and the only thing I do in politics, I'm a poli-sci major in college, which was a long time ago. Anyway, Wayne, thanks very much. Looking forward to our next show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
I look forward to it also.
Okay.